Mines and Money London 2025, first day, and we want to now dive into the battery metals and copper sector. And with me here is Leif Nilsson, the CEO of Search Copper. Hello, Leif. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Great. First of all, I have to disclose I'm a shareholder of your company, long-time shareholder. Now, happy shareholder, if I look on the share price progress and also the progress that you made on your Berg and Ootsa projects in British Columbia. Could you give us a small insight into the projects again, and then maybe a larger insight in the progress you made the last 6 to 12 months?
Absolutely. So we are advancing what we think is one of the top copper moly development projects in North America. It's looks to be one of the best in the sort of first world jurisdictions out there. It benefits from lots of good infrastructure right at site and kind of in the surrounding area. A sort of permitting and fiscal environment in Canada and British Columbia that is accelerating quite a lot. And the project is reaching a technical level of size and maturity that is really strongly positioned for where the copper market is heading. So we put out the first ever preliminary economic assessment on this project in 2023. We've been busy for the last 3 years advancing all the kind of technical stuff at the project up to the pre-feasibility level. And now we're on the cusp of releasing a pre-feasibility for the project that will outline a major mine development. So it'll be 30 plus years of mine life, producing well over 100,000 tons per annum of copper equivalent with a very strong economic return profile.
But this PFS is only for Berg, so not for both big projects. What is the current resource base for both projects? Let's start with that one.
Yeah, I mean, combined, it's sort of approaching 15 billion pounds of contained copper equivalent in the measured and indicated categories. In the case of Berg, it's sort of around the 10 billion pound level.
That's open pittable.
Yeah, so this is an established copper mining district in British Columbia. There's an existing mine on care and maintenance near us, and these are all open pittable targets with grades in units of copper equivalent ranging from sort of 0.35 to 0.45% copper equivalent, where that's comprised of copper, moly, silver, and gold.
Will this PFS include this existing facility, Huckleberry Mine, I believe is the name of it, or would you do your own thing?
No, the Berg project is completely independent. It's much larger in scale than Huckleberry. It's about 25 kilometers away, so there's no real synergies between those two things. And Huckleberry is owned by another company, but interesting thing to watch. Maybe they'll be bringing that back into production in the next few years when they once they're on the back end of developing the Red Chris project. So Berg is a standalone major development opportunity at the PFS stage, entering into the permitting process. That's sort of what to look forward to there. The Ootsa project is another large resource base that sits quite close to Huckleberry. It's about 5 kilometers away. So some, sensible integration opportunities there in the future, perhaps. But the focus is very much on, for us as a company, is very much on advancing Berg on its own path.
And the PFS will base on the former or the recent resource estimate, or have you plans for doing another one?
Yeah, we'll do another one. So we tend to like to do these things at the same time as opposed to putting out kind of distinct resource estimates as their own announcement. So the PFS will come with a resource update that will capture 3 years of drilling that's taken place at the Berg deposit since that time. Another significant thing that's changed at the deposit is we did a big metallurgy program that has quite materially improved the recovery profile for the key metals being copper and molybdenum. So in the PEA, we sort of estimated life of mine copper recoveries of around 80%. We'll likely see those jump to something like 85%. And moly recoveries jumping from 75 to maybe high 80s. So those are pretty material improvements for the major revenue credits at this project, which is going to have a big impact on the size of the resource as well, given that we use a net smelter return cutoff approach to doing that. So it'll be a much bigger resource, and usually when you're doing a feasibility study, that's when you get to declare initial reserves. So this combined resource update and feasibility study or pre-feasibility study will have along with it an initial reserve declaration for the Berg project, which we expect will also look quite good.
So it would be more tonnage, but also upgrading of the resources, or
in terms of categorization, yeah. I mean, it'll still have all three categories: measured and indicated and inferred. But since the last resource, we have converted a lot of the inferred resources to measured and indicated. The ones we care about are the stuff that's like in the pit shape. There's going to be plenty of inferred resource growth as well in the more distal areas to the middle of the deposit. And then the measured and indicated inventory is what forms the basis of a reserve declaration. So the mine plan that comes out of the PFS will constitute the first proven and probable reserve here. Okay. Which I mean, don't have the number yet, but it's going to be on the order of 1 billion tons, plus or minus.
Okay. So all this heavy work means you need money. You made some financings this year with a large anchor investor. What's money in the bank at the moment?
Yeah, so we raised $10.5 million roughly in the middle of the year. Our existing major shareholder, ARM, which is a South African diversified mining group, they increased their ownership through that financing from 15% to just under 20%. That financing was intended to provide us, financial runway to deliver the pre-feasibility study and to enter the Berg project into the formal environmental assessment and permitting process in BC. So lots of work underway on both of those fronts. Those are the two kind of major initiatives that we're working towards. Treasury today is probably in the kind of $6 million range, and again, these are catalysts that are going to be delivered over the course of the next 6 months plus or minus. So we're well covered to get kind of well into 2026, and we'll look on the back end of those major catalysts at what our next kind of funding opportunities look like.
Okay. So next big catalyst will be the PFS, which will come out by mid next year, something like that.
We're targeting the middle of H1 next year, so kind of late March, early April timeframe.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. What will come then afterwards? If you have positive, results, what's next?
Yeah, so a project like this, once you're in the permitting phase, there's a lot of focus and effort on, advancing through that regulatory process. There's a lot of field work that will transpire as a result of that, and we'll get immediately going on some of the feasibility level work, which will see more exploration drilling, more geotechnical drilling, more metallurgical laboratory work. So those are all things that we expect to see in the future. The Ootsa project is something that again is sitting there with an advanced resource. We've done a lot of metallurgical work there. We may start to run the ruler over what development opportunities may look like there. And there's a lot of remaining targets in the district. We own a land package that is almost 1,500 square kilometers in size. The big picture here is you got a 30-kilometer belt with like 5 or 6 known deposits with huge resource inventory. There's more of these things to be found. We've got the right, data in terms of geophysics and field work, reconnaissance field work that we've done over the years to have a pretty exciting pipeline of exploration targets to advance. So, while Berg is advancing towards that construction decision over the coming years, no doubt we'll be advancing some of the regional exploration targets to continue to prove out the value and scope and size of this district, which is already one of the largest in Canada and positioned in an area that's rich in the kind of infrastructure you need to.
Great infrastructure. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Last question. We saw some nice price rising in the copper price the last weeks and months. What are your feelings for the next year for copper and the copper price progress?
Look, I mean, the big thesis in copper, it's kind of been the same over the last few years, that it's a market of, call it 25 million tons of refined copper annually, and lots of projections where folks expect to see that growing to 40, 50 and above million tons per annum. And that's all predicated on the broad theme around electrification. So lots of different, trends underpinning that, whether we're talking about EV adoption, just, grid expansion and renewal, AI is having a big impact on that. Lots of other stuff. I mean, it's just sort of a society and economy-wide push in terms of demand for copper, and we're seeing tons of evidence of that come through. On the concentrate side right now, like extreme tightness in the concentrate market, which bodes well for projects like this. We expect to produce pretty valuable concentrates that are really well located relative to the likely customer base, which would be smelters in Asia. So, I mean, I expect to continue to see very supportive market conditions in the commodities that we are exposed to, which would be copper, molybdenum, and precious metals. And on the back of the PFS for Berg, we intend to start having some of the usual conversations you would have with future customers of these products. So end buyers, off takers, things like that.
Okay. So thank you very much, Leif, for this insight into Surge Copper.
My pleasure.
Merry Christmas.
Likewise.
All the best for 2026, and we keep all fingers crossed for great results out of the pre-feasibility study. And
Indeed.
when it will come out, then afterwards we do the next interview.
Okay.
And discussing all these results.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Leif Nilsson, the CEO of Surge Copper. You heard it in full preparation of the pre-feasibility study. Much other work to do. And we will keep fingers crossed and see what's happening next year. So bye-bye from London.